Welcome to the lecture on management and entrepreneurship 1851. So today we will be discussing on the different managerial skills that are required for a manager and whether the management is an art or a science. Managerial skills. So managerial skills can be defined as a certain attributes or abilities that executive or a manager should possess in order to fulfill a specified task in an organization. So this is the definition of the management skills, but in order to successfully deliver a task in an organization, the manager should be having different skills. But before we understand the various skills required by the manager, first let us understand what do we mean by skill. So a skill is the ability of an individual to perform a physical or mental task in a specified manner, and usually the skill is built, it is not necessarily inborn, and usually the manager develops the skill through the practices and experience. So in order to be a successful manager and to successfully discharge his role as a manager, he should be possessing three important skills. The first one is conceptual skill. So, conceptual skill deals with the ideas. The next one is human relation skills. This human relation skills deals with the various people who are working in the organization and all the stakeholders of the organization. And the third and the last one is the technical skill. So this technical skill deals with the various technicalities, or even we can call it as various things of an organization. Let us understand the various skills required by the manager in detail. So the first one is the conceptual skill. So the conceptual skill means it is the ability of the manager to have a broad, far-sighted view about his organization, his organizational goals, and he should be able to even analyze the various forces working in that situation, and he should be using his creative and innovative ability to assess the environment and the changes that takes place in his organization. So the conceptual skills can also be quoted as it is the ability to conceptualize the environment, the organization, and his own job so that he can set appropriate goals for his organization, for himself, and for his team. So, in other words, again, the conceptual skills are nothing but those are abilities that allow an individual or a manager to understand the complex situations so that he can develop creative and successful solution. It can be even quoted as it is a natural talent that addresses difficult scenarios with an innovative approach. The second type of skill that is required by the manager is the technical skill. So the technical skill is nothing but it is the ability of the manager to understand the nature of job that people under him needs to perform. It refers to the person's knowledge and proficiency in any type of process or technique which he is handling. So now, in an example of a production department, the technical skill would mean like understanding the various technicalities of the process of production, and the technical skill and competencies seem to be more important for lower level management or a supervisory level manager when compared to the higher level of manager. So, whenever the supervisory level manager goes to a higher functional position, or a middle level manager goes to a higher functional position, the conceptual skill will be more dominant to that particular function area when compared to the technical skills. Or in other words, the technical skills can be quoted as it is the abilities and knowledge that is needed to perform the specified task. The third type of skill that is required by the manager is the human relation skill. So, human relation skill is nothing but it is the ability to interact effectively with the people at all levels of management. And this human relation skill helps the manager to understand or recognize the feeling and sentiment of his subordinates and the superiors. It also helps the manager to judge the possible reactions of various course of actions he may undertake. It also helps him to examine his own concept and values, which may enable him to develop more useful attitude about himself. And this type of skill remains consistent, or it is very important for the managers at all levels. So, human relation skill helps us to have effective communication in all levels of the management. It also helps us in handling conflicts in an effective way, so that we can have a better relationship at all levels of management. In order to be successful in planning, organizing, leading, and controlling, manager must use a wide variety of skills. So the skill is nothing but it is the ability to do something proficiently. So the managerial skills fall into three categories, that is conceptual skill, human relation skill, and technical skills. So the top level of management should be having a more proficient in the conceptual skill and a small amount of human relation skill, and a very less amount of technical skills. Whereas the middle level management should be having a good blend of human relation skills as well as a small amount of conceptual as well as technical skills. Whereas the supervisory level of management or lower level of management should be having a good proficiency in technical skills and human relation skills when compared to the conceptual skills. The next part of this lecture is whether the management is an art or a science. So, before we go into whether the management is an art or a science, so let us first try to understand what is the definition of science, and what is the definition of an art. So, science it can be defined as it is a systematic body of knowledge, or it can be systematized body of knowledge. And science is nothing but it is a method of inquiry, where the inquiry is done in a systematic and empirical way. So, systematic means it is orderly done and it is unbiased. And inquiry is experimental or realistic in nature, and it is not merely an armchair speculation. And whatever the information that is gathered from the inquiry, it can be ordered and it can be analyzed. The data that can be obtained from the inquiry is collected, it is ordered, and it is analyzed with the help of a statistical tool. And whatever the results that we get from our analysis, those results are cumulative and communicable. So, communicable helps us to do a repetitive study, and when a study is replicated, then the second try would produce more superior results when compared to the original one. And those results which are discovered is added to whatever that has been found before. So science uses the past mistakes and facts and make us to go in the right decision, and management can be considered as a behavioral science. Management as an art. So, an art is an activity or a skill for producing things. We can also quote art is more oriented towards understanding of how a particular work can be accomplished. Art also deals with the application of knowledge and skills to get the desired results. Art is nothing but it is the personalized application of general theoretical principles for achieving the best possible results. The manager has to constantly analyze the existing situation, determine objectives, seek alternatives, implement, control, and make decisions. So, whatever the theoretical lessons the manager has learned on the principles, concepts, and techniques from his class, he should apply to the real world problem. So, the knowledge has to be applied and practiced. So, in this way, the management is comprising of few attributes of science as well as art. So, we can tell that the management is a science as well as an art. Now, let us try to understand whether the management is a profession. So, before we understand what are the different characteristics of a profession, let us understand what is the definition of a profession. So, a profession is a well defined body of knowledge which is learnt intellectually and with an organized sense. So, the definition of the profession can be broken down into smaller pieces, and let us characterize the various parts of this definition. So, to be a professional, you need to acquire the knowledge in an organized way, and you need to acquire the particular knowledge through training and expertise, and you require a professional association and an ethical code to regulate the behavior of profession, and a profession always charges a particular fee for the service rendered. So clearly, the management does not possess all the above characteristics of a profession. So we can tell that management is not a profession.